Yo, yo, what's up? It's your boy Dave Noodles. We're on the Type 88 show on Maker Park Radio. Today we got a special guest with us. This guy has been in creation mode nonstop. And ever since I met him at an art show several years ago, he's always just come up with something new. He keeps remixing things that I didn't think could happen, and he always finds a way to outdo his last piece. So we got the one and only Day Illustration in the building. What's up, man?
What's going on, my brother? How's everything, man?
Doing
Thank
good,
you
bro.
for having me. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, honestly.
No doubt, no doubt. So I just see you out there working. For anyone who doesn't really, I from what I see, bro, thousands and thousands of people are finding about your work on the daily.
Yeah.
It's so maybe let's bring it back, a little
Mhm.
way back to maybe the point where like you found art, or maybe it found you. Could you bring us back to that time where you figured this out, or you knew that this was something you were gonna go for?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything definitely deserves a good backstory, and I always like to. I think it's the most important part of everything. So, but yeah, I mean, like it's one of those super like cliche things, It was like, oh, I always knew this, da da da. But I mean, it's really true. Um, there once I like pretty much when I was in high school is when I really started to understand. I was like, I don't really know what else I want to do. Like it was always cool and safe to have like a little, B and C plan, but there's really no other, you know, option after this, and then from there, and then after, as you get into college, and then now I'm 3 years out of college now already. It's like every year just grows and grows more. And it's like, now it's like obvious, but yeah, I mean, everything really came from my grandma. She and my uncle, they had a big part in like raising me. So like I was like the arts and crafts kid, and like literally from like kindergarten, first, second grade, I was always that kid, to be the leader in that realm, I guess. And I just like I was always just drawn to that. Like literally in third grade, I was be selling pictures I drew of SpongeBob for like 50 cents, like $1, when I was like 8 years old. So
That's cool.
I don't know. I kind of was already like, yeah, I think this is my thing right here.
So even at third grade, you were even in the game of even getting it
Yeah.
out there and
I can confidently say 8 years old. I probably sold one of my first my first pieces. I don't know where it's at now, but yeah.
Was that in like a little Marvel notebook, or was that in the sketch pad? How?
It
Because
was
50
probably in
cents.
some like I used to love doing the loose computer paper, like the packs of that was like I didn't want it. I never had it in a book. It was always just loose sheets. And yeah, I used the same uh materials for like years, like years on end. I would use the same crayon, you know what I'm saying? I was always like really meticulous with my supplies.
That's
Mm.
awesome.
Hmm.
I think it's so great to just have someone that believes in you, because I think as young people, it dependent on who we are and how we're built, but I think just having
Hmm.
that one person that believes in you early on could really, one, show you how to believe, and
Hmm.
two, it gives you an example of how to even believe in yourself, or you see someone out there and that they see something in you that you may have not even completely seen right away. So that's so cool that you had your grandparents to just like
Yeah, it was.
inspire you and be there for you and believe in you. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
it was a good mold, and it wasn't even just them. Like everyone, I was literally supported my entire life, and sometimes I lose sight. Like I never like forget about it, but sometimes I got to step back and be like, wow, like so I know some people really don't experience this, even when it's good things, like when kids like, oh, whether it's sports or music or whatever, we know how it is. It's like there's people have a lot of stories where it's like it was, no one was believing in me, and I'm like, man, I gotta always realize like how much of a blessing and lucky I was to be like, every single one, family, friends, was like, you know, yo, this kid is gonna be this kid. Like, it was always just such great positive like reassurance, and I'm like, what, like, that's gonna give, you know, that did nothing but like motivate me in such a great way, you know.
What would you,
So
well, that's amazing. What would you tell maybe a young kid who may not have it like that? Like if a kid kind of was just coming up and they're figuring things out, what could you tell that kid that maybe doesn't even believe in themselves?
yeah, I mean, I honestly, after this year, I got one of my like real reality shocks, and I was like, man, you know, even when you're such on the verge of like um just this crazy self-doubt and like questioning, you know, everything you're doing or what you think you might love or what you think is, you know, your calling, let's say. I've been speaking about this to a lot of people recently, and the one thing I can say is it really doesn't matter who believes in you. There could be nobody in the world, as long as you believe in yourself. And I know it sounds like, you know, such a movie quote, but it's like, it's literally the truth, because like 90% of those people who are not believing in you or don't care about you or what you're doing, they're the people that are not, you know, gonna set you up in any type of place in life. They mean nothing to you. You know, it's like you could have a million of people just be like, yeah, whatever, like, I don't care what this kid's doing, I don't believe in him. But if you do, that's the most important person in the world that needs to believe in you. It could be your mom, dad, whether they're here with you or not, your siblings, your best friends, whoever it is. And you kind of feel like, man, these people aren't seeing what I'm seeing. That's not important, because they're not you. The most important person to have, you know, the belief in you is you. It's as simple as that. It really doesn't matter. And I can't stress it enough, especially after you know, once you get, I'm the type of person, once you get some type of you get a little bit of light, that's really all I need, you know, because just like, you know, it's only so long for someone's going to keep pushing and, you know, knocking on the door and no one's going to open. But as soon as that door gets cracked a little bit, it's like you get such a whole new life. And you're like, why would I turn back now? Like, oh shit, what's about to happen now? What is this? You know, and that comes from keep on believing in what you're doing, you know?
That's fire, man.
Mm-hmm.
I always say things like everything stops when you stop. That's why I say don't stop dreaming, and the
Yeah,
dreaming.
I remember that for so long. Yeah, that was like, how do you deny that? You know, like, that's the key to it, man.
And the dreaming for me is the living the dream. It's not, oh, well, one day it's going to be like this. And, one day I'll be lucky. It's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
go out there, make your own luck, work super hard, whatever it is that matters to you, treat it like a job. And I try to tell people this all the time. I'm like, you want to do this thing that you say matters more, and you don't want to do your job. But I say, you got to get ready to do that thing like your job and then some, if you really
Mm-hmm.
want to take it to the next level. And I try to break that stereotype of them of like, oh, I get to do the thing I love. Everything's going to be all unicorns and rainbows.
Nah,
Yo,
nah,
it's harder when you're doing what you love. When
believe
you,
it
you,
or not,
you
yeah.
make 10 sales and you need 40, or like
Mm-hmm.
you make something because you love it and then it doesn't sell. And you're like, oh, well, maybe I'll just make what sells. But you're like, oh, well, I don't want to sell my soul. So
Yeah,
there's all these psychological things and emotional things that you now enter when you're doing the thing you love as your job. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
cool, man, that you're just full force
yeah,
over here.
absolutely.
And it's true, man. For me, bro, like people, I've had some people that believed in me, I'm very grateful. But the majority of people started believing in me when I just like put myself out there. I would go on these hip hop tours with like G-Eazy and Tory
Mm-hmm.
Lanez. And like then when I came back, or even before, people were like, oh snap, I gotta get something. You were out there? Let me know more about, you know what I mean? And then the
Mm-hmm.
interest just builds. So I think that's exactly what you were saying about just believing in yourself. Because then people are like, oh, okay, they're not just, he's not just saying this.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not. It's the other way around. It's not when people you need people to believe in you, and then you're like, okay, yeah, I got it. It's the other way around. You start that first. You start to train first, and then I don't even have to say the rest. You know what's gonna come after that. Then everyone believes in you after. No, you have to
Yeah.
start that train, not them. You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's really cool, man, because I meet so many different artists, and some, they started similar to you, just, learning, drawing, but then, you took it a step further, and then you furthered your education in the field that you knew was for you. I know a lot of people that, they go to college to kind of figure that out.
Yeah.
How did it feel to go to college, kind of having that tunnel vision and being like, I want to take art to the next level? And then how did FIT, combining that passion for what you were doing already and then mixing it with FIT, how did that go for you?
Oh yeah, I always loved the FIT and the college questions and like that part of my life because it's super important. Um, the way that felt was like, this is like, so leaving high school, going into there, it was like I'm still in that mindset where I'm like, everyone knows what I'm gonna do and I know what I'm gonna do, but it was a new thing for pretty much a lot of people in our generation where it's like both parents ever went to college or generations before that. It's just like you're kind of the one that's like breaking the ice, and FIT ended up being like the perfect fit for me. And what I would say about them that I've answered a lot over the years is that they gave me the proper molding to take my skills further, where I'm a student and then you leave there as basically a professional. And it was just like an amazing experience because I always wonder, would I be the type of artist I am, today without those 4 years of proper, guidance and showing me the ropes. It was just like, it was so eye opening. And then also to be surrounded by your peers and so many people who are kind of like, within that same, mindset. It was just like, it did wonders. And I will always, whatever happens in the next 5-10 years, we'll credit them greatly for, my success. You know what I mean? I learned so much and was like, I went from someone who's just like clueless out there, like, okay, ready to soak everything up. And I left with like it's, ready to pull on my pants and like, okay, let's take on whatever's about to happen right now, because I feel confident enough to do that,
That's
was,
great, man.
yeah.
The way I look at it with college too, like I wrote a paper, literally like one of my first papers was college is not for everyone. But
Mm-hmm.
then it could be, but I'm a very huge believer in furthering your education always, and always being a student of the game and always learning, and no matter how far you get, keep learning new things and evolving as your work, your art, or whatever it is that you're in, whether you're a doctor, artist,
Mm-hmm.
engineer, there's always something new to learn. So like
Absolutely.
what I love, the one thing that I think I remembered learning in school was how to get shit done that I didn't feel like doing.
Yeah.
And like, if I learned anything in college, it was that. It was like taking on these big projects that had to
Mm-hmm.
get done to get to the next level, to get to where I wanted to go. And like, and I think I've taken that with me, probably more than actual hands-on skills, like
Yeah.
design wise or how to write. Certain things I think were embedded in me, or having a vision for things. So it's so cool that yours actually sharpened your sword even further, because you were right there, and like it gave you even more tools, and it also taught you to get shit done that you maybe wanted to hang out when you're 20 on a Friday, but you're like, oh, I got to get that thing done. It's due on
Many.
Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And then you realize that's kind of how it is when you're a professional in the game. You know, you got to drop a piece. You know, it's due on the 1st. It's the
Hmm.
31st. You got to do your
Oh yeah.
accounting. It's due on the 18th. You know what I mean? You learn how to hit those deadlines. And I feel like we're in this creative world. It's all about delivering our products and getting them out
Hmm.
there. And you know, bro, like, you know, I see you out there. Something happens in pop culture, bro. You got that shit out quick. It's out
Yeah.
in a day or so. And
Absolutely.
what I love too, man, you're paying homage. You know, not just the new school things or you know the things that are maybe trending or you know the hottest thing in the moment. You've been doing a lot of stuff that pays homage, and
Hmm.
you know, hip hop's been around for 40 something years, and it's been great to see a lot of the new stuff that you've done that pays homage, you know, to the early cats. Um,
Yeah.
so I love the coming of age series that you've done. Maybe you could kind of tell us about that, and then you know where it's gone from, you know, from just coming up with the idea to you know to how it's spreading all over now.
Yeah. Definitely. Like that will pretty much be, I don't know what will top that in the future, but that piece, you know, currently, and you know, just completely, it basically changed my life, you know, to really get down to the nitty gritty. That came out in May of this year. I think it was like the 17th or something like that. And I always start off by telling the story from where this came from, because like I said, everything needs an origin and a backstory. That piece was actually greatly inspired by another artist that I ended up coming across, um maybe like 2.5 weeks prior to me dropping that piece. And it was another illustration that it blew up and it did pretty good, from this guy Pedro. And since I followed him, we followed each other. I actually speak to the guy almost like every day, if not every week. And he had this Joker piece, and a lot of people saw it, some people didn't. Where it had the same type of thing, where it was like a timeline of probably the original Joker character, either from the 30s or the 40s, and it went all the way to the Joker from 2019, the most recent one with Joaquin.
Yeah,
And I guess I came across the piece. Actually, I'm pretty sure it was through Complex. It went on to like a bunch of pages, but that was the biggest page, which for a lot of artists, that's like a gold mine right there. And I was like, oh shit! I was like, this is really cool. I was like, I like this. And he had the same type of style where it was like the side profile shots. And you know, so like a lot of like what everyone saw from my stuff was really derived from what I saw from that, and I ended up just, you know, flipping it and putting it into my own. But so he broke it down from by year, and I guess either the TV series name or the movie, it was like very small underneath, like how I have my album name underneath my artist. So I was like, yo, that shit is really cool. And at the same time, someone else, a good friend of mine, Matt, he sent it to me too. I was like, yo, it's gonna be something you might like. And I was like, yo, I just like, everyone was like seeing it, you know, for the first time at the same time, because it was circulating. So I was like, you know, all my stuff is pretty much influenced by hip hop, as you see, sports, and sneaker fashion. Like those are the big three right there. So I was like, yo, how can I flip this and do something really cool for myself? Because I really love this idea, and I could tell it'd be something fun to draw, and I never did anything like that. So he had like a little template that was maybe, I want to say, what, it was 25 or 30 of them. I don't know how many up and down it was, but it was a lot of Jokers, right? So I was like, okay, I'm not going to draw the same person 25 times. I really don't want to do that. So I was like, let me just put some more flavor into it. So that's when I came up with the rose. And I was like, okay, I was like, obviously it's going to be based on figures. So I'm like, okay, you know, let's do a little rap theme. And the part one, the one that really blew up and boosted everything to come after that, was pretty much just a handful of favorites. And I was like, that's how I got the lineup for that one. I was like, when you put the heavy hitters in there, the people I just personally fuck with, and I'm like, I'm gonna, you know, because I'm gonna grow who I like. So I picked Travis, Drake, Jay-Z, Kanye West, and Kendrick Lamar. Those are the five. So it's five across, five down. That's like the template I followed. So pretty much all in unison, I came up with the idea. I'm like, how do I want to, divide this up? I don't want to put a year there or whatever. And I was like, so as I'm doing my research, it was like, most of my projects, I do a lot of, photo reference finding before, and I like look into stuff. It's like, I don't just throw the shit down and I'm like, okay. I do a lot of like looking into how I'm going to set this up first. So I'm like, yo, these album looks is kind of like very prominent, at least in the people I chose. Like Kanye in that one was like kind of where I really saw it. And I was like, who else? And Jay with his hair that started to really shift. I was like, man, this can really be broken up by album. I'm like, I think that's cool as hell. I was like, honestly, I was like, I really took my time with that first one. So, and then with the Kendrick one, I did that. That was kind of like a crowd pleaser because I know people really like him. I'm not the hugest fan. I'm like, I would say like I'm above average, Kendrick Lamar fan, like casually. But I do mean that because you also fit the criteria, So I finished it, came out cool. I was like, all right, this is dope, whatever. I dropped it on a Sunday. So even when I had like, barely any followers or my steady followers for years, the same people would see my stuff. I was like, I'm such a like promo dude. Like I love like making it seem like I'm dropping the biggest shit ever. Like every time I put out a piece, like this one might be it, or you know what I'm saying? Like even when I started releasing clothes and everything, I was like, I'm really heavy on promo. You know what I mean? It just gives that such a more professional look, and it makes people like view, separate you from what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
So I say this because that same right before I put up the piece, I put up a thing and was like, new art dropping tonight. I don't know if I put like, sometimes I put like, oh, how long it actually be, like a few hours, or if I'm like, oh, something's coming tomorrow. But I put it up like a few hours before, and literally just the caption itself was just was from the Drake and Fabio song. It just says viral movie. That's what I put, just as the caption. And so I dropped it like 8:30 p.m., like really random time. Because honestly, I can't keep up with the Instagram algorithm anymore. I'm just like,
yeah.
That shit just kills me. So I'm like, whatever. Whenever it goes, I don't even care. So the first page to pick it up was Modern Notoriety. Right now they're probably like getting close to like 800,000 followers. Cool people too. I speak to them a lot as well. And they were like, yo, can we post this? And I was like, I think I tagged them or not. I don't know. They just found it. And I was like, absolutely. I was like, oh shit. I was super excited. I was like, yeah, sure. And, I like did a little editing for them, how they wanted it to fit their page and whatnot. And so they put it up. And then this actual, I don't really know what to call the type of page it is, but a plastic plant, that's the @ name on Instagram, is growing a lot of fame. Like Complex is in their comments and everything. And this guy posts a lot of great content. So he put it up as well. Another great dude I speak to a lot now. And so the next morning I wake up and I was like, holy shit. I was like, this was the one. So from that next morning after, and then it continued into like obviously a few days, I just kept getting one after another. Like that first one covered all boards. Like it covered every page I've probably tagged for the last 5 years, and they've never liked it once. And I'm just like, now everyone just jumps on board. I was like, it was just like a shock. It was just like, boom, Complex, fucking. I didn't get any of the actual artists. So those are the really, really big names. But I had my boy screenshot it and it was like, you see, it says King James liked this one. Like LeBron liked it on Complex's page. I was like, yo, what the fuck? I was like, what is going on right now? This is nuts. My DMs are flooded, like crazy blue checks coming in. I'm like, yo, this is like nuts. I never seen a DM where it's like, when you reach a certain number, it says 99 plus. And it's just like, yeah, I'm seeing shit I've never seen ever in my life for the first time. So, yeah, I was just like,
awesome.
wow, like this is the one that popped. And yeah, it changed my life and where I'm at right now. And obviously, a lot of people see there was more additions to come after that. So, because I saw that, and I'm like, okay, what do I do now? Because I'm not just gonna take this, enjoy it, and then that's it. I had to start capitalizing off of it. So then comes part 2, a week later to the date, and I hyped that up like crazy too. And then came part 3 with the West Coast. Snoop put it up. That was like a huge.
Oh,
that was the biggest victory right there for me. I spoke it into existence. I was like, all right, for this West Coast edition one, I was like, honestly, I just want Snoop Dogg to put it up. I think I could do it. He puts it up a few days later. It didn't hit right away, but it was just, and you see now we're at part 4 is the most recent one I dropped, and I definitely plan to continue this train as far as I can take it.
It's cool because I see a lot of viral things, but then it's like you have now all this attention. What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Do you keep people? And you were like, oh, are you not entertained? And then you kept bringing it every week, and I think that's. You didn't even give anyone a chance to even just step in the lane too, and just be like, oh, well, this is a good idea. Let me reference what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden now someone else create, I feel like, I feel like when we're creative in this world, it's so easy to be like, oh, well, that artist is doing this. What about me?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we really got to be looking at ourselves from the day before, instead of worrying about, oh, what this artist did in high school. Okay, and now they're viral because they're dating this one. Like, nah. Like, what did we do yesterday, and how could we outshine ourselves? And then I think if we just keep going, and you just kept going, man, and here you are about a month or so later, you're creating the wave. You're not just riding it and being like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. You're like, okay, I'm gonna make my own wave.
Yeah, like that. I definitely feel like that, and it's a great feeling, after literally pushing for years. Like, bro, there was so many pieces I can't tell you where I'm like, yo, everything I put out, I'm like, I think this could be it. This is the one that could get picked up, and it just so happens to be that one. I understand why. I mean, I feel like that was the one to do it, but yeah, I'm just like, it was just like a real blessing how everything happened, and I'm proud of that. And yeah, like I said, the training is still going for sure with that, like.
That's so cool. And if anyone they want to check that out, that's all on the website? That's all on the Instagram? Well, of course, on Instagram.
Well, yeah, mainly like that's my my main source is Instagram. Like that's the pot right there. Everything is where all the people come to, where they know the @ name. Like I literally never changed my @ name once since 2011. That was the first and only name. And yeah, like it's it's cool to now to see where I'm at, where it's like when part 5 or part 6 comes out, people are gonna know where, like, who already did that, and it's like a good feeling to know like people are attaching something that they see to, like, yeah, that's that guy, remember, or they remember seeing part 1, or hundreds of people bought the piece, which was great. It was like
Hundreds.
yeah. There's so much, like, honestly, it's crazy. I know that when I went into the story, it was like long, but that's like the tip of the iceberg too. There's so much behind what happened within like 2 to 3 months. I had people from just to, like, off the top of my head, for certain countries like Australia, a lot of Canadians, I guess when the first one was Drake, Canada wanted it so bad, Germany, South Africa, Spain, like people, this shit went like not even just in the United States. It didn't go, what's the word? Just in our country, it went internationally, like it went globally, you know? And I was like, what the, man, this is just, it just kept coming, you know? And it was just like watching, you know, the dreams kind of like start rising, like right in front of your face, like seeing things happen, like it's like right on my phone, everything is going on, like every day or every other hour is like notification, oh, this one tagged you, and it's just like, wow, you know what I mean? And thousands of people coming in. And then of course within all that there was, you know, it wasn't just all love. Like I got, you know, I got beat up a few times, but it's just like that's what with the territory, you know.
Yeah, the more people who see what you do, the more people will critique. You know, you're opening yourself up to more critique, more opinions, more so that, but hey, you know, that's part of the game, man.
Yeah, it was the first time I had to like deal with all that, and I was like, okay, like, you know, I had to just take it with stride. Now that we're getting better at that and where I'm at now, I'm like, okay, you know, it's gonna, that's just, it is what it is, you know. I see it on people, you know, on a celebrity by who millions of people love, and then at the same time there's millions of other comments of people just, you know, bashing and putting that person down. But it's like that's life. That's what's expected, you know.
I think that's what's cool about art. What did Kanye? What's Kanye say? Is like he's like something something, but at least you feel something, right?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like he's like, at least you feel something.
Yeah, it's like it's like, yeah, I can't pinpoint it right now, but it's like I still brought out, you know, like you took the time to, like, it happens today on one of my recent pieces I put up, you know, or it's like when people literally hardcore and they're like, yeah, this doesn't look like this at all, and I'm like, I mean, you took the time to try to let me know that. Maybe you want to help me, maybe you want to see me fail, I don't know, but I'm bringing you in, you know, to enjoy it or not enjoy it, whatever. It doesn't matter. That happened a lot between the first edition and the second one, where I started to find out people were literally livid and going crazy that J. Cole wasn't on the first one, and people thought I intentionally swapped Travis Scott in there for him. And I can go on record by saying that with the 5 I had there, replacing Travis Scott with J. Cole does make sense. I'm not gonna lie, but that's my guy. I'm a heavy Travis Scott fan. I was like, I just put him in there because I like him. So people were like, I had people on Twitter and stuff. Like one guy was just like, yo, fuck you for not including him. I'm like, bro, you know. But what happened with that is like I saw what was coming my way, and people were like, where is this guy? Like literally, where is he? Like, I'm like, he's not here. But as this is all going on within that week, because like I said, I dropped the second one a week after. I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, you guys just paved the way for me and opened the door for me to give you part 2. Because this wasn't even like a series I was planning to go this way. It was like, this is a one and done piece, and I was just going to move on to the next thing. Like, you know, I always do. But they opened the door for me to go, okay, you want J. Cole, I'm going to give you him with a whole nother set in another lineup. And now, boom, there's part 2 for you guys. And it got just as much, you know, recognition. It was great. I was like, you guys did that for me. I wasn't even planning on doing this, but I took what was coming to me, and I was like, okay, you know.
You were you know, you were open to the critiques, and you know, you used it to your as research.
Yeah, I'm a crowd pleaser.
And product development. You know, people like, oh, we want the front camera. Why doesn't there front? And then boom, all of a sudden, oh, and then, you know, the next one you got something new. So that's cool, man.
Yeah.
I love what you're doing. It's just great to see the consistency. And I think any young artist that wants to come up, I think a thing that you know, you kill it. Your creativity, you know, you're very in tune with the world. You know your past. But I think something that really stands out with you is your work ethic. You're constantly making things happen, and you're learning from the experiences, and then you're adding it to the next experience, and like, people see the growth. And from meeting you at the art show several years ago to now, it just, from when we followed each other, I've met a lot of artists at a lot of events, and I think one thing that really made you, stand out has been your consistency. It's just every other day there's something new, and people could count on you to, to find something new, or to see something they know and be like, oh damn, why didn't I think of that? Or, oh damn, he put a. So it's cool, man, and shout out to you for staying consistent with it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really pride myself on that, and I love to hear that, because I'm like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. That's all I need to know. You guys are seeing it's not just me, and that's all I need to know.
So that's awesome, man. It's you've just been grinding, man, and so if anyone just like they want to get a piece, or they want to, is the shop open if people want to order one of those pieces the day coming of age, or other prints and merch?
Yeah, so like right now, the link in my bio, the actual merchandise shop, that's been open throughout this whole thing. I haven't been able to add new merch, unfortunately, based on the virus and everything like that. But that's still open for what's there now. And then what I've been doing since part one is those prints are always available, and I take the orders manually through my DM, and they get shipped out. And yeah, like I said, hundreds of orders have been taken care of. Just literally just me, my one-man team. And yeah, those things will be available, until further notice. But yeah, they're definitely there.
And the website is
dayillustration-shop.com. So that's for all the merch, like stuff just like this. And and then for the art pieces themselves, the canvases, I like to go through another like production company, so make sure I really give people the best quality I can. So I take those orders manually, and people hit me up, just DM me, and then we place the order, and I keep it nice and personal with them,
That's great. And if they want a smaller size, or if they want, I want a 80 by 60.
Yeah, absolutely. Like everything is fit still, as much as I can, try to customize, everyone's order exactly the way they want it, for as long as I can. Yeah.
That's great, man. It's cool to just, I've been fortunate too to just feel growing pains too especially during the COVID vibe. And you feel it's just this like, it's a pain, but it's like, I don't know, I'm sure you've worked out. You feel that pain, but there's good pain. It's not just, I think pain could be confusing, and it's like, oh, well, I'm feeling pain, I'm not comfortable, oh, I'm not happy, but it's like, there's good pains. And I feel like it's great to see you going through these growing pains in a good way. And, I mean that in a wholesome way. It's like, because then you got to figure it out again. You got to make your next move. Okay, you have thousands of orders. Are you going to do that? Are you going to get someone else? So it's that constant student of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's excellent, man. I know I would ask what's next, but I think that's also intrigue about someone just following you. I think, you got to just hit the stories and catch the hints, because, you like surprising them. So I don't want to be like, hey, what's next? I think people will see, as long as they join the page and follow.
Yeah, if they stay tuned, that's my like go-to line right there. Just stay tuned, and I promise you won't be disappointed. Sometimes I throw a bone here and there, to get some excitement brewing. But yeah, like I said, the consistency will always be there. So there's always going to be, new stuff. And like I said, the train is going for sure. So yeah, you just got to stay tuned.
That's great, bro. So maybe before we go, what would be maybe the best bit of advice that you could share with anyone with a dream to become whatever they're trying to be? What's some advice you could give someone?
I feel like it's so much easier for me to speak on it now, especially that certain things have happened to me, recently, but I still remain the same person and within the same mindset as right before anything or any of that stuff happened, because this is still just the beginning to me. It's not like, oh, this is the biggest thing in the world to me. This is the biggest right now, but what I can say is the mindset I have, and maybe people will share it or they'll understand it, is the way I look at life is like, I'd rather strive and chase something to the day I die, and maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't, but I feel like that's a life that's worth living, and that was satisfied as much as you can, instead of compromising and basically just throwing in the towel and confiding in what people say or around you, and what you think is just like not for you, and you're gonna fall victim to what millions of people do every day. And it's like, that stuff is actually like, that scares me more than dying. It's like, why even be here, or why do anything if it's just like, if it's meaningless, and my advice would be to just stay true to what you think you're here to do. Some people are here to stay at a certain level. Some people are meant to stay here. Some people are meant to float in the middle, and some people are meant to go all the way to the top. But you have to decide where you think you lie. There's going to be times where you don't see yourself as the person to be up here, but your destiny is, you are going to be there, but you're still thinking you're seeing yourself down here, but you don't know that yet. But you have to just understand that that's the fun part of everything too. It's like, you don't know what can happen. Like, I didn't know what can happen, and it's like, if I would have gave up a few years ago, I wouldn't be talking to you right now about, oh, this happened and then this is going on. It's like, I would have none of this would be happening. And it's like, once you hit a certain milestone, it's like you can become living proof of what you've always thought, and what you can pass on to others. I like to be that person too, to not just be like, think who I am, and not shed light and give back to the game, give back to people who want to do things like this. I think that's important. So just don't fall a victim, and just follow everything that your heart and your mind tells you, because the moment you stop doing that, when you stop, the dream stop. Like you said, like, that's it. It ties in to wrap it up right there.
I think you just gave me like 30 posters in that last statement.
Yeah, man. That's all there is,
bro. I love seeing the grind, man. Keep doing what you're doing. It's great to watch. It's great to see you evolve.
I won my game.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone's out there, make sure to follow my boy. His Instagram is Supreme_THO, Supreme though. And make sure to check out his website, dayillustration.com.
Absolutely.
My guy, Day Illustration, he's been grinding, and as he would say, stay tuned.
Yeah, man.
Got some heat coming on the regular, man. And you always got our support. Keep doing what you're doing, man. And thanks for being part of the show.
No, thank you for having me. It was honestly a blast, and yeah, I love shit like this, so it means the world to me. It really does, Thank you, bro.
Of course, bro.